Well, the tax deadline is 5 days away, and in this week's Dealing with Dollars, we're giving some advice to all of you last-minute filers.
WFXR's Evan Johnson talks with a local tax preparer about what you should do if you still need to file and how you can still save some money.
For most Americans, the deadline to file federal tax returns is April 18th. The IRS says it expects around 168 million individual returns, but so far it's only gotten about 80 million. Now, if you are among those who haven't yet filed, we've got some last-minute tips to help. David Kemble with Kemble Tax Service joins us today. David, it's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me back.
So we said about half of the people expected to file federal income taxes have filed right now. Why do you think people are waiting until the last minute to file their returns?
Well, that just usually always happens. Folks put off bad news. They know kind of what's coming and they wait a little bit too long usually to try to get into here. And so they just kind of not in a big hurry. They know they're not getting a refund and they're just going ahead and putting it off to the last second to avoid the bad news.
Well, speaking of refunds, we know that a lot of people were shocked when they got their refunds this year because it was significantly less than what they've been getting in the last few years. And last time you and I talked, you said that this was expected because of the ending of several tax forgiveness plans?
Correct. A lot of those stimulus payments that were there for COVID, they're gone. A lot of those daycare credits and the increased child tax credits, all that's gone. I would have to say that none of our clients were surprised. We warned everybody. It was mainly our new clients that came in that we had to explain that to.
So for folks who still have to apply, what do they need to know?
Well, get everything together, make sure you have it all. There's not a lot of time left now. So if you're missing something, it's really hard to go find it and get it, in time to us. And then we like for folks to remember back in 22, and we wonder if you did anything energy saving to your house, specifically windows, doors, insulation, a new hot water heater, maybe a heat pump or a furnace or an air conditioner. There's credits for those, and those are the things that people usually forget.
Yeah, that's a good advice there because it's easier to forget those types of things, and that could save you some money in the long run. Speaking of saving money, if people have to pay back this year, we know that they can file an extension, but does that also include an extension to pay? Like, or will they still have to pay some sort of fee on however much they owe the IRS if they decide to extend the payments?
Very common misconception there, Evan. Everybody that calls us thinks that they're extending the payment, and that's simply not true. It's never been true. The IRS wants to be paid before April 18th, and Virginia wants to be paid before May 1st. And when we do that extension, it's simply extending the tax return or the paperwork.
David, I do want to ask you too, is there anything folks can do now to try to save some money when filing taxes?
Yeah, about the only thing you can do after the fact is make a contribution to an IRA. So there's limits on it. It's rather hard to explain here, but you might look to see if you're eligible to make a contribution to an IRA for 22. And so what we advise folks, or some of our folks, is to get to their bank or get to their IRA custodian, and perhaps you can max out an IRA for last year, which would help you on the tax filing that we're about to do now.
And just so we're clear, they would have to make that IRA contribution before the April 18th tax deadline?
Correct, before April 18th, and that includes April 18th. So they could do it on April 18th, but it's imperative they let the custodian know that they're making a 2022 contribution.
All right, well, David Kemble with Kemble Tax Service, located right here in Southwest Virginia. As always, we thank you for giving us these tax tips. Now, if you missed anything that David said today, all you got to do is go to the Dealing with Dollars webpage on our website, WFXRTV.com.